back after this year?
I'm surprised they haven't started that process already, Skip. And people want to know why was Ben still there, Skip. The options and choices. Here are your options at quarterback. Mason Rudolph, Dwayne Haskins, Ben Roethlisberger. Well, the only logical choice is Ben Roethlisberger. Well, what that tells me is that they have failed to prepare. Dwayne Haskins was so bad. Ron Rivera felt so guilty that he really did not want to put Alex Smith because he didn't feel he could protect himself. He says, I don't really want that to happen on my watch. Dwayne Haskins was so bad, even though he felt so guilty about playing Alex Smith, he put his butt in the game anyway. And then he signed a guy, Skip, that was doing DeVry colleges online.
He was.
And put him in there in front of Dwayne Haskins. So that's Ben's backup. And then Mason Rudolph. A guy that got two last names and got a last name as a first name. So what does that tell you? They don't really have a choice. They have no choice but to go this. Skip, you like to do this a lot. Since Ben Roethlisberger's last Super Bowl loss in 2010 to the Packers, he's 3-6 in the playoffs. Last two been debilitating losses. Jacksonville got the brakes beat off them at home. Cleveland at home. And Ben didn't look good in any of those games. I just don't see a situation where Ben's arm is going to get stronger and he pushes the ball down the field. The problem is that everybody started crowding the line of scrimmage. Now, Pouncey retired. I think Villanueva, I don't know how,
He's still out there.
Yeah.
Unsigned.
So basically all they got is DeCastro. It's not looking good for the Steelers because and it's not like they got a Patrick Mahomes. Alex Smith, the Kansas City had Patrick Mahomes waiting. Green Bay had Aaron Rodgers waiting. The Ravens had Lamar Jackson waiting. You mean to tell me if Ben leaves, you're going to turn it over to Dwayne Haskins or Mason Rudolph? Nah, Skip. Look, another reason, people need to stop thinking, oh, they love the game. Skip, what are you guys going to go and make $30 million a year at the age of 40? Now, Aaron Rodgers got a very unique perspective because he can make somewhere, $8, $10, $12 million doing Jeopardy in the offseason. That's a nice gig. That ain't $40 million.
But you can do it for a long time.
You can do it for a long time. So, and that's my point. And these guys
And nobody sacks you while you're standing up there, right? Nobody knocks you down.
But there's only one Jeopardy host.
Yeah.
Big Ben can't do that. All these other quarterbacks are not in line to get that. And that's an isolated incident. Most of these guys are not going to be having jobs in the offseason once they retire that pays them $25, $30 million a year.
Yeah.
Unless you're Tony Romo.
Okay. Let's start with the reporter in question here, John Clayton.
Right.
I love John Clayton. I've known him for years and years and years. For years, he was on ESPN as one of the primary information men. And many people have forgotten the fact that when I first knew John Clayton, he was covering the Steelers in Pittsburgh. That's where he got his foundation in this business. So he is very connected to the Steelers for a long, long time.
Right.
So
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
The only person I've ever known is Ed Bouchette.
Well,
he might
John
have took
Clayton
over.
was Ed Bouchette before Ed Bouchette was, because when I first met John, it was at Super Bowl 13 and 19 after the 79 season. It was Pittsburgh versus Dallas.
Right.
So that's how far back I go with John. And he really, really knows his stuff. So when he says 2 years, I'm taking it to my mental bank, 2 years. To me, this starts with the Tom Brady syndrome. All these older quarterbacks, take a look at Tom Brady going on 44 years of age, who says he wants to play till at least 45.
But Tom Brady ain't drinking beer playing golf in the offseason. He training.
You don't think Ben's been a little re-inspired by having to sit with Pouncey and cry some real tears at the end of that Cleveland game and see his football mortality flash before his very eyes? You don't think he was somewhat humbled and re-inspired by the Steelers saying, yeah, we'll bring you back, but not at that figure?
Looking at Ben, what part of when you look at him physically says that he takes nutrition, that he takes training serious, like a Tom Brady, like an Aaron Rodgers, like some of these other quarterbacks? What tells you that he takes it serious? The report was his idea, drinking beer, playing golf, doing a yoga class once a week. That's a workout for Ben Roethlisberger. So how, and you wonder why, you see how serious he takes it?
I believe that came from our guy, Jake Lacy,
Yeah.
right?
So we see how guys that take it seriously, I want to play it for an extended period of time, they take the steps. But you Skip, you can't
You think
wait.
he's taking it more seriously this offseason?
No.
And I do remind you, last season, he was coming off a pretty serious elbow surgery. And I'm not sure, especially over the first half of the season, if he trusted his arm to throw up more than about 5 yards. But meanwhile, throwing up 5 yards, guess what they got to? They got to 11-0.
Right.
You can't tell me you can get to 11-0 with poor quarterback play in this league. You just can't.
Well, no, I didn't say he was playing poor, Skip, but his defense was outstanding. The defense got crippled by injuries.
Slowly but surely,
and
they
all
did.
of a sudden,
they
they
lost
could-
Devin Bush after 5 games.
Bud
Then they
Dupree.
lost Bud Dupree after 11 games, and then Joe Hayden was week 10 on. He tried to come back, had a broken leg, and
So
you know
now,
the rest of that
all of a
story.
sudden, Skip, they couldn't get the turnovers and give you short fields.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, they weren't suffocating.
I got it. So Ben Roethlisberger is 39 years of age.
Yeah. And he played like it.
Okay, I got it. If I'm Pittsburgh, I'm trusting him, and I would root for him to play 3 more years because I believe if he rededicated, he's capable of playing 3 more years because you know what? He knows how to play that position. He has instincts that are right up there with Brady's, except he's got the bigger body and he's gotten away with brushing off pass rushers,
Right.
creating time and space in the pocket just because he's such a huge, naturally strong
Right.
human being. I'm not talking about weight room strong. I'm talking about he just was born sort of, it's almost like country strong.
Do you believe guys that want to play as long as Brady, do you believe they take their off-season as serious as
Well,
Brady?
you have to or you won't. That's it.
So you will do that now. So you will wait till you get to be 39 years of age. And so all of a sudden, I'm going to start eating healthy. I'm going to start training proper nutrition. I'm going to start training like I'm supposed to. You're going to do that at 39.
Okay.
But when you was 23, 24, all the way up to 38, you said, nah, I'm good.
Okay. What if it was just the elbow surgery and you just on sheer rest through the offseason, you come back with a stronger arm that you trust more just because time healed it? Maybe you don't rededicate. Maybe you don't work out any harder than you used to work out, but you always got away with it because you just know how to play the position. His instincts are of the highest order to me. He gets it. He sees it and feels it.
Skip, he hadn't been to back to a Super Bowl since he was in his 20s.
Okay, but
He about to be 39.
He's been to 6 Pro Bowls and 3 Super Bowls
Yes.
with 2 wins.
Yes. So so by that metric, that's the expectation. It's not good enough to get to 11-0. It's not good enough just to win the division. When you've been Roethlisberger and you've won 2 Super Bowls, you've had an appearance in a 3rd. Skip, it's just not good enough to be good enough.
Did he have any run game to support him last year?
That's their fault. Because
Well,
Skip,
don't know. Answer the question. He had none.
run game is terrible.
You know why? Because they were dead last in rushing yards. You got to give him some break for that. Dead last?
Skip,
What's the quarterback's best friend? A run game, right?
I fought them because they've said, Big Ben, we're going to go as far as you take us. And they haven't drafted a running back. What do? They draft receivers. They draft defensive players because they believe their quarterback can compensate for lack of a running game.
Yep.
So this is not your mom and pop Steelers, Skip. They used to play lights out defense and run the football with Franco and Rocky. Even when they won the Super Bowl last, when they had Willie Parker and Jerome Bettis, they were a blunt force team.
Yep.
Ben was different. Ben was not allowed to lose the game. They've turned everything over to Ben. Now Ben is expected to win the game.
He'll be better if they can draft a running back of the highest order.
Well, they better get Najee
Like
Harris.
Najee Harris. They have to. It's just sitting on a platter for them.
But what you going to do about the quarterback? So you ain't going to take no quarterback. You just going to roll with Ben, Mason Rudolph, and Dwayne Haskins.
Well, if you have a choice between Najee and a quarterback, if one's sitting there, I don't know, you're not going to get one of those top 5.
Well, yeah, you're not
right?
going to get one of the other. No.
Okay. Do you like Kellen Mond next? Who do you like?
You got to Skip. They got to get somebody to start trying to develop them.
Okay. I don't disagree, but your first priority is to draft a running back. And Najee Harris he'd be qualified with that pick. It would be worth that pick.
Yeah, considering they like to throw the ball to the running
That's
back
what I'm
and
saying.
screens and things.
We know he can catch it. and
But
run
you
it.
also, Skip, you better go get some offensive linemen to protect Ben.
All right. I'm sure they're doing that as we speak. They're trying to figure that part out. But it's the Jerry Jones dilemma of, okay, I got Dak. Do I love Dak? Well, I don't love him, but I like him better. Obviously Jerry's up against the mortality clock.
Right.
He's thinking, okay, as I'm later in life here and I'm looking down the road and I'm saying, do I really want to start over with one of these quarterbacks?
No.
And you never, ever know for sure if that guy is the guy.
Right.
Is he the right guy?
Right.
Well, Jerry could wait for 3 or 4 more years and realize, oh, well, this guy's not as good as Dak was. So he paid Dak.
And that's the thing, Skip. You believe you're closer
Yes.
to what you need to be with Dak than you would be if you brought somebody else in.
Which is what I think the Steelers would think for the next 2 years at least, maybe even 3 years. We're closer with him than we could be with a kid that we don't really trust. They drafted Mason Rudolph, and he's not terrible, but you know what he is.
Right. But Skip, that happens a lot when you have franchise quarterback.
Yep.
You see what happened to Peyton. When Peyton got hurt, it ruined everything. They go 2-14, they clean house, they get Andrew Luck. And that's what happens. A lot of times you have these guys and they play for so long, you never address the backup in a significant manner. And then when something happens to him, you see what happened? Now give Mike Tomlin credit, because he's never been less than 500, no matter who the quarterback is. But, Skip, at some point in time, they're going to have to address this issue. He might play 2 more years.
I got it. But you pointed out earlier in the show, 33 touchdowns to 10 interceptions. That doesn't grow on trees.
No.
The experience obviously doesn't grow on trees. He's been there, done that. He's highly competitive. He doesn't show it, but he's a battler. He's a fourth quarter fighter. He loves to fight in the fourth quarter. Does he love to train like you did? No.
But he's going to be up against it. Because you and I both, you believe Cleveland got better. I believe the Ravens got better.
Yeah.